Good afternoon, welcome back to the channel. We have a lot of rain in the forecast for the next 10 days. We have a lot of wind, 25 plus mile an hour wind. There's some hurricanes off in the Atlantic, so not the best weather to be out fishing. We're at the house today. I wanted to film some content for those of you who are subscribed, those of you who like watching my videos. And today's video is going to be on rods and reels and baits that I don't leave home without. What do I have on my kayak every time I'm pre-fishing or fishing a tournament? What do I have on the boat when I'm fishing? I know a lot of people ask me what hooks I use for my shaky bait, what hooks do I use for my wacky rig stick baits, what baits do I hook onto those techniques, what other baits do I carry on different rods, rod sizes for flipping, things like that. We're going to go over it all. I hope you guys enjoy the video.
Thank you, Lord, man. Oh, it's thick really because I can't even get in there. Oh, that's a big one. Oh, yeah, that's a good one. Get in there. Come on. Oh, God. All right, we got us an Orange Lake Giant. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. How about that for a frogfish? He tried to swallow that thing. It was not playing. He hit it and was gone. Look at that.
Okay, in no particular order, the first rod we're going to go over is this Lew's rod and reel here. It's a custom light rod. I'll put all the specs on the screen for you guys to look at to make it more efficient. But this is a tournament light reel, and I usually will throw a jerkbait on this rod. Like I said, I'll put the sizes on there, but this is a medium fast rod. And usually when I'm throwing a jerkbait, unless the water is very dirty, I always have a leader tied on. I'll usually use a 12-pound leader. And the reason why I do this, if I use finesse techniques and I have to pause a bait, like a stick bait, or anything that I'm sitting there pausing and letting fish have time to look at, I usually will put a fluoro leader on. Some people don't believe in it, but I do, and I think if you give fish time to look at the bait, oftentimes they can see the line, and even though you can catch a lot of them on reaction strikes, and even though sometimes they'll bite, how many fish don't bite because they can see your line? You don't really know, and when you're fishing tournaments, you don't really want to take chances on fish that may not bite. So I try to do everything I can. A lot of my finesse techniques, I will have a fluoro leader on just because I know they get that extra time to look at the bait. So that's my first setup. Lew's Tournament Light, medium fast rod, and that's one of the rods that I can't leave home without. Another rod and reel combo that I don't leave home without is my shaky bait rod. This is a custom light Lew's rod. It's got a tournament light reel on it, and this is a medium light fast action rod, and it's actually the Lew's finesse casting shaky head rod, and this works really well for my shaky head. It's really light. When you're casting a lot and you're fishing tournaments, I like using lighter rods because it wears you out when you're casting all day, especially when you're fishing 8 hours and you're trying to cover as much water as possible. Lighter is better for me, especially if it's durable and it can hold up to the pressure. But this rod is going to have a fluoro leader 9 times out of 10. The only time I won't have a fluoro leader tied onto my shaky bait rod is if the water is really dirty. And the fluoro leader that I have tied on is 12-pound test. So I have a 12-pound fluoro leader, an owner's shaky hook, and that'll be attached with a Oracle segment at the bottom. I've caught a lot of big fish on this combination right here. This hook, you would think is so little for this bait, but if you let them eat it, you'll get them. This is a deadly combo. I've caught a lot of big fish with this setup right here, and this is one of my favorite setups, and it's the second rod that I never leave home without. Always got to have it in my hand. The third rod that I won't leave home without is my Wacky Rig rod. This right here will save your butt when fishing's tough. For some reason, bass cannot resist a stick bait. And for this setup, I have a Lew's Custom Light. This is their finesse casting shaky head worm small crankbait rod. It's a medium fast rod, and with this setup, I'll usually have a 10-pound fluorocarbon leader, and I'll have it attached to this little itty bitty wacky hook here. A lot of people ask me, do I use weights or how I fish these baits, and I don't use weights. And what makes this bait different is the Oracle Flick Stick is a bait that's made with sinking plastisol, and it's also got salt included in the sinking plastisol, which gives it a really good fall rate when you're fishing waters that are 5 to 10 foot deep or deeper, and you want to get your bait down. If you've ever fished deep water and you throw your bait and you're using live scope, you can see fish down there, and it's taking forever for your bait to get down, and they just swim off. This is made to get down to the fish. There's two ways you can rig this one. This bait right here, falling this way, will have a faster fall rate, or you can hook it on this way, and it'll have a higher degree angle, which is going to be a stiffer presentation, a slower fall. And like I said, I'll always have that on a 10-pound fluoro leader. I will use weights from time to time if the water's really deep, but I'll tell you, when they're following these baits, they're sinking so slow, and the bass are behind them, and you're popping it, and they're sinking, and they're behind it, and you're popping it, and they're sinking, and they're behind it, and you pop, 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 and they go and get it. But I found out if you have it weighted too heavy, you popping it and it's dropping, and you're having to follow it, and you popping it and it's dropping, and you're popping it and it's dropping, and you're not leaving it in the strike zone. They're having to chase it a lot, it's dropping, and they lose interest. A lot of times it's happened to me, and the best way to fish this for me is as finesse as possible, the lightest hook as possible, 10-pound fluoro leader, because you want them to get up close and personal with this bait. You want them checking it out. You want to pop it, and you want to get them close, and then you want to make them react to that bait. And that's what I do with my shaky bait, 10-pound fluoro, little itty bitty finesse hook. I want them to check it out, I want them to get close, and I want them to react to it. That's my shaky bait setup. That's the third rod and reel that I do not leave at home without. This is a bait that when fishing's tough, you can always throw it and you can always catch fish. You might catch a lot of little ones, but I've caught some big fish on it as well. The fourth rod and reel I don't leave home without is my chatterbait rod. If you live in Florida, you know you gotta throw a chatterbait a lot. It's a staple here in Florida, and my favorite color is this bluegill color. This is original chatterbait. This is on a Lew's, I believe this is a custom light reel here, and it's on a TP2 rod. This rod has a lot of backbone. For this technique, I don't usually have a fluoro leader on it because this is a bait that I'm going to throw, and a lot of times I'm trying to get reaction strikes. I'm fishing this bait in a lot of hydrilla, eelgrass, different grasses. I'm reeling it, and as it gets caught in that grass, I'm snatching it out. That vibration triggers them. A lot of times you're going to get reaction strikes with the chatterbait. The times I will throw fluoro leader is if I'm fishing really clean water and I know that they're able to see it really well. I will put a fluoro leader on, but 9 times out of 10 on this technique, I'll throw it on straight braid. And this is the fourth rod that I will not leave home without. And all these rods are rods that I use when I'm breaking down water and trying to figure out what the fish are doing. And I always have these rods with me. The fifth rod that I won't leave home without is my topwater rod. This is a Veritas rod. It's made by Abu Garcia. I have a Revo Rocket, which is a 10-to-1 gear ratio. I like using these faster gear ratio reels when I'm using walking baits or frogs. I can clean up the line, I can cover ground pretty quickly. I'll throw a chatterbait on it. I'll throw walking baits, I'll throw a frog. This is a 6th Sense Vega frog, probably my favorite frog. And when I'm throwing topwater baits, I'll usually use straight braid as well. If you put on a fluoro leader on a lot of your topwater baits, like I said, that line will sink on you, and it'll have that nose down on that bait, which will change the action of it. I know some people do it, but I prefer not to because I know it changes the action. If you really need to use something to trick the fish in this clean water, I would prefer to use mono because mono will float more. But for this technique, especially with a frog, I usually use straight braid. A lot of times you're having to manhandle fish. And this is going to be a medium heavy rod here. It's actually it's fast, medium, heavy. So, yep, so medium, heavy, fast. And it's a Abu Garcia Veritas rod. It's got a lot of backbone. It works really well. It's light. I can cover a lot of water without wearing myself out. And it works really well for my topwater baits. And I always have to have something to throw topwater. You're trying to have a technique for everything when you're breaking down water, and people look at you like you're crazy, especially when you're on a kayak and you have all these rods, 8 rods on the back. Some people have more, but when you're trying to break down water and you have limited time and you're just in different areas, there's a lot of different ways to catch bass, and there's a lot of times I've learned fishing with live scope that there's a lot of techniques you could throw at a bass and they're just not interested, but you can figure something else out and get them to trigger a bite on something else. So it's good to have a good arsenal of different baits, and you always got to have some of the top water, because first thing in the morning, late in the evening, it's good to be able to throw a walking bait or a frog, or just try to get them to react, especially if you're fishing this frog up in pads or something, because sometimes like in the middle of the day they'll push up in that stuff, and a frog is something you can get up in there, and it's a rod that I always have with me. The last rod that I don't leave home without is my flipping setup. This flipping rod is a favorite big sexy rod. I'll put all the stats on the screen. It's a Mock Crush reel. It's a reel I won in a tournament. I have 2 of them, so I figured, you know, all the wear and tear you get from flipping and pulling fish out of grass and pads, I figure if it breaks, it's something I won, and it's a good reel. It's not junk. It's definitely a good reel, and it works, and I have a backup if I need it. But it's on a Mock Crush reel. A favorite big sexy, and with this reel I'll always have 50-pound braid. I'll have a 3/4 ounce a lot of the time, because I find that this weight is good for flipping pads, flipping Kissimmee grass, flipping hydrilla. It's a good weight for flipping a little bit of everything. Now when you want to sneak up on a fish and you're fishing shallower water, and I mean, this weight can make a lot of noise sometimes. It can fall really fast, so I will drop down to like a 1/4 ounce or lighter when I'm flipping that stuff. But if you've ever flipped and you're flipping in pads and stuff, a lot of times if you're flipping too light, your line will get caught up on the pads, and your bait will just sit there and it's not falling, and you can just see your line, and you'll pull your line out and it'll just come right off the pads. This weight right here will drop down. It won't get caught up on the Kissimmee grass. It won't get caught up on pads. So a lot of times I like this 3/4 ounce for just flipping everything. But if I'm flipping just little pockets and covering a lot of water and stumps and stuff like that, I will go to a 1/4 ounce or lighter. This is just my universal weight that I like to have on, and I'll flip a 3/0 flipping hook on this setup with a snail knot. And the snail knot, make sure it kicks that hook up. I used to just tie a polymer knot when I first started flipping, and I didn't think much of it, but I went out fishing and I was losing fish after fish after fish, and I couldn't really figure out why, and I tied the snail knot on after that, and my hookup ratio really improved. So if you're not tying a snail knot, you really need to when you're flipping. It does make a difference. I've learned that firsthand. I'll have a snail knot, and like I said, 50-pound line, 3/4 ounce weight is a lot of times what you'll see me flipping with. I will go lighter, and this is my flipping setup that you guys will see me flip with a lot. An honorable mention is this rod and reel here. This is another Lew's custom light rod. I think it's the older model, and I'll have this is a 13 fishing reel. It's the Concept Z. It's a little bit older reel, but this is probably one of the best reels that 13 Fishing has made. I really love this reel. I catch this thing a mile, and with this setup I'll have a rattle trap tied on. This is a bait that I love to fish. It's a bait that works really well when you're fishing eelgrass, hydrilla, any type of grass, and you could just burn it over top. The fish always react to it, and it's a rod that I usually will not leave home without, and it's a rod that's caught me a lot of fish. These are the setups that y'all see me using in a lot of my videos. These are setups that I catch a lot of fish with. I hope this information helped out some of you guys. I hope this brings some clarity. If y'all got any other questions, reach out and let me know. And let me know what your favorite combos are, what your favorite baits are. Hit me up in the comments. I appreciate all you guys that are subscribed, all of you guys that are watching. and I'll see you on the next one. Hopefully we can get some fishing content out soon. But hope you guys enjoyed the video. See you on the next one.